non-violence in Jain perspective. And for that, we have to have we have to know about the text and context. Why we are discussing this non-violence and why it is so important to learn. So you can see that all the Jain scriptures or entire Jain tradition, it is very much into the concept of soul, spirituality. And it gives importance that self is very important. The religion preached by Mahavir or all the Tirthankars was purely spiritual, with self-knowledge as the starting point and self-realization as the final end. So Jainism is very much into this idea that you should realize your own inner self. If somebody wants to know God, they should know the God, but for that also they should go through their own inner self. So until and unless we know the self, we cannot know even the God. Or those people who are looking for non-violence from different other purpose, they should also learn about the self. Until and unless you have the right knowledge about your own inner self and the self of other people or other living beings, you cannot follow non-violence in true sense. So that's why in Jainism it is said that know thyself and realize yourself. That is the final goal of human life. There is nothing so small and subtle as the atom, nor any element so vast as a space. Similarly, there is no quality of soul more subtle than non-violence, and no virtue of spirit greater than reverence for life. So this is what Jainism has taught, that we should learn about the self and also its qualities. So the fundamental quality of soul is non-violence, that you should be very much respectful to your own inner self and also to the self of others. All the arhat, since Jainism has been taught by the enlightened souls who are recognized as arhat, and according to Jain tradition, in each era, we find 24 arhats. So in one time cycle, at least, we find 48 such enlightened souls, and those all enlightened souls teach the same thing in their times, in the language of the people of their time. So all the arhats of the past, present, and future discourse, counsel, proclaim, propound, and prescribe. Thus, in unison, do not injure, abuse, oppress, enslave, insult, torment, torture, or kill any living beings. This is the message which have been given by all the arhatas, not only by Mahavir, who was the 24th Tirthankar, but all other preceding Tirthankars, arhat, enlightened souls. They have also taught the same thing in their time. One who negates or you are what you intend to hit, injure, insult, torment, persecute, torture, or enslave or kill. This is, you can see that Jain Tirthankars and the arhats, they have said that yourself is not separate from others, in the sense that what you are doing will return back to you. So don't think that you are thinking to kill some other living beings. You are first killing yourself, because everything is returning back to the doer. So you are what you intend to hit. You are thinking that you are hitting some other people, but you are actually hitting yourself. Might be that person whom you are targeting may not be hit. Instead of that, you yourself have already hit yourself. So in that sense, we have to understand that our self and other self are not separate, and they are very interconnected in some sense. One who negates or disregards the existence of other living beings. They are not just disregarding the existence of other living beings, but they are also disregarding their own inner and own existence. This has been said many times in the first chapter of the first Canaan Acharang. And it shows that our existence and the existence of other living beings are tantamount. They are not separate or different in one sense. So we have to be very much careful that if we are disregarding or disrespecting any other soul, we are disregarding our own existence. This time we are facing the problem of pandemic, and we have seen that this pandemic has caused a great trouble to the human existence on the earth. So why it is so? Because we have neglected the life of other living beings, and we have started using them as our food, and that has created so much big problem to human existence itself. So life is very dependent on others. If we are not respecting other living beings or the existence of other living beings, then we are doing harm to our own inner own existence, and that is what we are realizing. Now we would see that what is ahimsa after all, how we should follow it, and what is the meaning given in the Jain scriptures about ahimsa or definition. So the particular text, which is Dashvaikalik, in this particular text, it is said that ahimsa means restraint. Restraint means non-injury, non-harming, non-torturing, not making slave, not killing, or any kind of disrespect to any living being. So this is non-violence. Ahimsa nyunam dittha sabba bhuvesu sanjam. This is the definition which has been given in particular text, which is known as Dashvaikalik. So it is one of the most important 5 vows practiced in Jain tradition. Jain tradition has prescribed so many vows, ethical rules and regulations for the ascetics and also for the householders. And among all the rules and regulations, if you will go into the spirit of those rules and regulations, then you will find that only ahimsa, to protect ahimsa or to follow ahimsa, these all different rules and regulations are set. So there is one particular text in which it is said that ahimsa is, or non-violence is, the supreme value. All other ethical rules and regulations and values, they are meant to protect non-violence, to support non-violence. If there is non-violence, then there is some value. If there is some kind of violence, then the value is, or value itself is polluted, or our purpose of following that value is defeated. So non-violence is the supreme value, and it is ingrained in all ethical rules and regulations. Every living being has a soul, and to cause harm to any living being is to commit violence. So we should see that Jainism has said that life is not confined to some particular human beings only, but it is very very extended, and it covers all different other components of the universe which are also having life. So we should understand that how life is spread in all different forms of life. And among them, according to Jainism, there are 6 types of classes of living beings. Among the 6, the 2 are, and they are all 6 classes are reduced to 2 broader categories of living beings. They are known as mobile and immobile. So under immobile living beings, all natural resources come: earth, water, fire, air, and vegetables, plants. They all are having life. And nowadays, science has also proven that plants are having consciousness or life. And earth is also having life. Water is also having life. Now, as an air and fire, still they are not clear about that. But according to Jainism, air is also having life. Fire is also having life. So if you are using unnecessary these resources, natural resources, you are committing violence to them. Though necessary, if we are using necessary for necessary purpose, then also we are committing violence. But that cannot be easily avoidable for anybody or everybody. Yet we can avoid unnecessary violence. Even unintentional violence leaves bad karma on the soul. According to Jainism, if somebody wants to liberate from the circle of birth and death, or he wants to liberate from the karmic bondage, or wants to realize his own inner pure being or perfect divine soul, then he has to follow non-violence. Because violence is causing karmic bondage. All types of sufferings of human life are mainly caused by violence. So how we can avoid this violence to be free from, to remain free from the karmic bondages, and thereby we can liberate ourselves. So to follow non-violence, it is necessary that we have to be non-violent in our actions, non-violent in our thoughts, and also non-violent in our words. Now we will see that, as I have said, that there are certain rules and regulations which have been prescribed for the householders and as well as for the ascetics in Jain tradition. So you will see that the whole Jain society is divided into 4 groups. The first 2 groups are the male ascetics and female ascetics. So they are known as monks and nuns. And 2 other groups are the householders, male householders and female householders. The vows prescribed for both, for all the 4 categories are the same almost. Just theoretically, we can say that the householders have so many social responsibilities and duties and relations, and also have some kind of material desires they want to fulfill or enjoy their life. So they cannot take a vow of violence in a complete sense. But yes, the ascetics are supposed to follow non-violence to extreme level, and they should follow non-violence. Not only just at physical level, but mental and also emotional, verbal level. They should not commit any kind of violence through their words, through their actions, or even through their thinking. But the householders are not bound to follow the complete non-violence. They can follow if they are able to follow, but at least they should avoid unnecessary violence, which is not required for their survival or for their business purpose. Now you would see that there are violence. To understand non-violence, we should also understand first what is violence. So there are 2 kinds of violences. One is internal, which is known as bhava hinsa in Jain tradition, and the other one is external, that is dravya hinsa. When we are killing or torturing or eating physically any living being, then it comes under the external violence. But if we are thinking something malicious or something of violating any living being or torturing or hurting in any way, then it comes under the internal violence. So we have to be very much clear that we are not committing physical violence all the times, but yes, bhava hinsa, that is the internal violence, which may go in our head 24 hours, even in the sleep. So we have to be very much conscious that how we can avoid this internal violence and also the external ones, which is not necessary for our survival or our any good purpose. Internal violence describes violence of thought, thinking, and planning about it, and negative emotions, ill wills, or malices. So all these come under the what we say internal violence. External violence describes the act of violence, committing it physically and or verbally. So we have to be very much clear that sometimes we don't kill any living being, but we say such abusing words which are very much hurting to others. So how we can avoid them so that we can live more and more in non-violent way of living. There are also three ways of committing violences. One is called intentionally and committed by yourself, getting someone. Second is getting someone to be violent for you. And third is allowing someone to commit the violence. So these are the three ways of committing violences. The monks and nuns are supposed to avoid all these three types of ways of committing violence. And the householders are also supposed that they should also follow this kind of non-violence in their day-to-day life. They should not commit themselves any kind of violence. They should not say to someone to do that kind of things. And if somebody is doing such kind of activities, we should not appreciate. Suppose two countries are fighting with each other, and if somebody is fighting unnecessarily or attacking unnecessarily on other, we should not appreciate that he's doing very good job. So this, if we are doing that kind of thing, though we are not involved in that violent activities, instead of that, we are committing violence at mental level or verbal level and causing karmic bondage. Okay. So now violence. So there are another two categories of violence. One is internal and other one is occupational. So it is said sometimes it is asked that Jainism teaches about non-violence, but people are committing some violence in the name of business, in the name of their domestic things. So it is said that yes, the householders are not bound to follow the non-violence in complete sense because they have some responsibilities, they have their own business. So there are two types of violences which we have to understand so that we can be clear that how much we can follow remaining as a householder. So there are another, one is intentional and other one is occupational. So intentional violence can be avoided by the householders. The monks and nuns can avoid all types of violences, but the householders cannot avoid every type of violences because that is the part of their life, or they can minimize. So, but at least sankalpi violence, which is known as intentional violence, we are unnecessary thinking about killing of some people, or unnecessary we are thinking such kind of violent things, then it is a sankalpa hinsa which is not necessary for us, but the occupational which is required for the survival, for doing some business or for performing some social act or necessary things, then it comes under the occupational. So intentional violence encompasses killing, hunting, animal sacrifices, and harming animals for food. How we can avoid that one? This form of violence is strictly prohibited and a reason why Jains are vegetarian. So why Jain people are taking vegetarian diet? It is said that they should avoid at least killing of animals, or 2 cents to 5 cents to living beings. It is not necessary for their survival. Yes, they cannot avoid all the things. Natural resources are required for every person, whether he is vegetarian or not vegetarian. So that is the minimum requirement of our survival, and that is the basic necessity of our life. And that's why Jains are restricting themselves they are confined themselves to this vegetarian diet and trying to avoid all different types of violences towards the animals. Occupational violence is something that householders cannot refrain from based on the lifestyle they have to live. Their goal is to minimize the violence. So here you can see that if they are doing some business, so especially in Jain tradition, it is said that the householders should not do at least 15 types of businesses which are having so much violence in them. So especially to produce weapons or to prepare any parts of weapons is prohibited for the Jain householders. They cannot develop meat industry. They cannot develop such kind of a business in which they have to make some coals, and for that they have to burn the forest or trees in a very bigger number. So these kind of businesses, or they should not produce any kind of wine, etc., which are not good for the human health and also for society. So these productions should be avoided by the householders. They have to do some business, but it doesn't mean that they should do such kind of businesses which are damaging nature, which are creating some crimes in the society, or which are polluting the human consciousness. So this is what Mahavir was intending behind the prohibition of the 15 types of businesses in which there is enormous violence. Occupational violence can be distinguished in three forms: business, survival, and defense. So you can see here that Jain people are doing business, and in any business, whether it is based on some violent method or some non-violent method, but somehow all the businesses are having some kind of violence in them. So, but everybody cannot avoid the business because they have to survive and they have to earn money for their necessities. So this is exceptional for the householders for survival. We need food, we need water, we need other vegetables and other domestic things or stuff. And in production of all those things also, there is some kind of violence. And defense. Defense is to protect our own existence or our community or society or nation or humanity. So that is also the part of a householder. They cannot be free from this responsibility or duty. So that's why these three are considered as necessary violence and not unnecessary. But yes, it is also expected from the householders that how much they can minimize violence in their business activities, in their domestic things, or any defensive actions. Now you can see that how these necessary violences which are associated with the human, with the householders, what kind of things they are doing, and that is considered as a necessary violence, which cannot be easily avoided by householders. So householders need to have an occupation in order to survive and ensure their family's survival. They should avoid jobs that require them to harm 5 sensed living beings at least. Okay, so that's why you can see you will not find that any Jain is not nobody is doing such kind of jobs in which there is any kind of non-vegetarian productions are involved. So this is what Jains are trying, that they avoid at least killing of 5 sensed living beings. This is now the second is survival. This is violence done when having a doing chorus and other domestic activities. And defense. This type of violence is done when defending one's self, property, other beings, or their country. Once again, householders can't escape these types of violences, but they must ensure that how much they can minimize it in their day-to-day life. Now, how to restrain violence. So there are 5 restraints one must observe when following the teachings of nonviolence. So first is control of speech, how we can control our speech so that we should not speak such words which are hurting, abusing, or insulting to other living beings or our fellow beings. Control of thoughts, we should not think anything which is violent or malicious or hurting for others. Regulation of movements, we have to be very much restrained in our movements whenever we are going or walking. Sometimes we walk on lawn, and lawn is having so much grass and also some insects, so they are also killed by our steppings. So we have to be very much conscious that in our day-to-day life, whatever we are doing or performing, we have to be very much conscious that we should not kill any kind of living beings which are innocent and not harming to us. Care in lifting and placing objects. So it is also said that whenever we are taking anything from anywhere, we have to be very much careful, and that it should not be placed in such a way that there should any kind of insects or living beings are killed just by our careless placing of objects. Checking your food and drink before consuming them. So it is also very much necessary. People, wherever there is such mass productions of food and in food industries, I'm thinking that how they can take care of these kind of things. So many insects, microbes, living beings are killed in such mass productions. But yes, at least at our home, when people are cooking their food, they can be very much careful when they are cooking food and taking any drink, that there should not be any kind of microbes or living beings which are coming in their food or water. So these are the things which we can take care of in our day-to-day life and dealings, so that we can avoid unnecessary, say. The ascetics, you can see that the Jain monks and nuns, they walk on barefoot because they know that traveling is also causing violence. So you can see that they are walking from one corner to another corner of India just on barefoot. The ascetics follow the 5 restraints to a grand degree compared to the householders. Ascetics must be in full control of their thoughts and actions. They are practices that some ascetics follow in order to live a life devoid of violence. Some practices include avoid taking food, water, medicines, etc. at night, sweeping the path ahead of them, wear face mask, and one sect avoids wearing even clothes. So you know that in Jain tradition there are 2 main branches. One branch is Shwetambar. So these nuns are belonging to Shwetambar tradition. They wear white clothes. The nuns in Digambar tradition also wear white clothes. But the monks especially, they practice nudity and they don't wear clothes. It is because the clothes are also coming out of some product, and those products are always involving some kind of violences. So they want to avoid all kind of possessions which are coming through violent process. Here you can see the Shwetambar tradition. The monks of Shwetambar tradition, they wear the white clothes, while the Digambar monks, they don't wear even a single piece of cloth on their body. So the whole entire point of these practices is to minimize the violence the ascetics commit in their lives. So they try to minimize violence as much as possible. One of the most extreme practices is fasting until death. You can see that in the tradition there is one vow which is which can be accepted in the end of life, and that is known as religious death. And for that one has to keep fasting until death. So that fasting is also a kind of extreme practice of non-violence. There are people who can say that fasting yourself to death is a form of violence, but it is considered an act of compassion since there is no anger or any kind of fear about death. So you can see that people think that this kind of practice is a kind of violence to oneself, but it is not. When we find that the time is up and the body is not going to remain as it is for a longer period, just I have few hours or few minutes, then I can be detached from the body and can be concentrated on my inner self who is on the journey of next life. So that is the main purpose of practicing this religious death. Now we would see that the compassion is an application part of nonviolence. Nonviolence can be seen in various different perspectives, and it can be seen in different forms of applications. So one of them is known as Daya. So Daya is a kind of compassion, and this compassion has been taught by all different religions also, but how much they are going into deeper understanding of this concept, this we have to see that thing. Jainism is saying that you have to be compassionate to all living beings, whether they are microbes, whether they are natural resources, whether they are fellow beings or animal beings or any other, even the celestial beings or hellish beings. We should have compassion to all these different forms of life. So compassion for all living beings is the goal of all, and nonviolence is the most important aspect of that. Sometimes we say nonviolence and compassion are both one, but I would like to say there is one scripture which is known as Prashna Vyakaran in Jain tradition, and in that particular text you will find 60 meanings of nonviolence, ahimsa. So Daya is the one of the meaning or one of the outcome of this practice of nonviolence. And nonviolent people are filled with compassion and love for all. They are at peace in their heart. They are generous, respectful, and full of happiness. They have tolerance for all living beings. So this compassion should be understood in this way, that how we can be very much compassionate to all the living beings, and all those who are in miseries or in pains or who are needy, so that and how we can help them. So that is the part of a compassion, that you are helping other people, because it is only the human beings who has such kind of understanding of pains of others, and they can understand that thing and can help. So this is compassion is also one application of non-violence, and which has been accepted widely in all different religions, but how far they are following, it depends on them. We have to be very much careful that what it means and how we can avoid violence at all our levels. Now, why this non-violence is so much important for us, especially from a spiritual point of view. So you can see living a violent life puts negative karma on your soul, thus keeping you in the cycle of birth and death. So most of the religions, they are looking for final liberation, but mostly they think about just heaven. In Jain tradition, it is very much emphasized that heaven is not the ultimate goal of human life. You have to liberate from the karmic bondages and from the beginningless cycle of birth and death, because it is birth and death or karmic baggages which are causing all different types of sufferings in our life. So if somebody wants to liberate from sufferings forever and want to realize eternal peace and wisdom and purity or perfection, then he has to liberate from these karmic baggages. So, and violence is the main cause of our karmic baggages, karmic bondage, keeping us intact in the cycle of birth and death. A soul free of karma can end the cycle and reach enlightenment. Promoting violence affects the world in a negative way. If one would like to live in a peaceful world, then one should live a non-violent lifestyle. Second reason is that if we want to live a peaceful existence, coexistence, then also it is necessary we have to be very friendly to all living beings. Controlling your thoughts and actions can lead you to a positive life. So whenever negativities come because of violent thoughts and ideas or analysis of our mind, but if we can be non-violent to all living beings, you would see there are so many examples which have been given in the religious scriptures of all other traditions and also in Jain tradition, that if you are having so much compassion to all living beings, if you are so much friendly to all living beings, if you are non-violent from within, you will find that even the wild animals, they can come near to you and sit with peace. They will not attack on you. And there is just a few days, 2 days before, I was watching one video and I found one video in which the Jain saint, when he saw that there is one snake who is wounded and is going to die in few minutes or few seconds, so that saint has taken that snake in his hand and give him make him listen to some pious mantra so that he can liberate from this particular form of life or sufferings and can enjoy his higher life. So this kind of compassion you can see in the religious text and also at present. So many people who are non-violent, they are seeing that lion is coming to them, but the lion is not attacking him on them, but they are just sitting before the saint and enjoying his teachings. So what is good for you is also good for society and vice versa. We have to think about it, that our life is very interdependent, interconnected. We cannot live in isolated form. We need the support of other people. So what we think that good for us is this good for other people also. So why, if we do not want that our life should be violated or taken by any other living beings, we should also behave in the same way with others. So Jainism is, that's why in the sense it is said that your life is tantamount to others. And what you are looking for, the other living beings are looking for the same. So we have to be very much careful about or respectful about their concerns, as we are very much concerned about our own needs and necessities. So Jainism considers nonviolence to be the highest form of religion. And it is said that there may be particular name sometime or may not be. Today we are finding so many different types of religions and they are having their own identities like Jainism or Buddhism or Hinduism or Christianity, Islam, Judaism, like this. But these are the particular names which have been given to particular trend of religion. They may not be sometimes, but ahimsa, non-violence, it is the religion which is perennial, which is permanent and eternal. It will always be needed to maintain the cosmic order, to save the planet, and also to liberate ourselves. So with this, I would just want to say that ahimsa is the need, is a call of time. And why it is so important today to think of. And for that, we should learn about that, what kind of things are going on at global level, also at society level, and also at individual level, and how ahimsa can show the light to come out of these issues. So ahimsa is not only a religious dogma or a practice or a principle to liberate, but it is also a very important value to sustain our life, to sustain the planet, to make the sustainable development, and to dissolve all the conflicts which are going on unnecessarily in the society. So the religion preached by Jain Tirthankar is purely, as I have said, we have already seen this page, that what is nonviolence. Now we would see that aparigraha. Jainism has also given very much importance to follow the value of non-possession. Why it is so? There is one scripture which is known as Sutra Krita, in which Mahavir says that the main cause of violence is possession. If somebody wants to possess the property, somebody wants to possess land of some other country, somebody wants to possess resources of other countries, or somebody wants to possess his own position or status or power, and it is because of that people are fighting with each other. So until and unless we pay attention to the main cause of violence, we cannot get rid of it. So aparigraha, non-possession, is the base, is the main thing which we have to pay attention to, and so that we can follow non-violence in true sense. Till we have some kind of attachment, or till we are looking for such kind of possessions, we cannot be free from violences. So the principle of non-violence cannot be adequately comprehended without knowing the ways and means to violence. This is the reason for an elaborate description of possessiveness and non-possessiveness in the Jain scriptures. It is given. So the principal cause of violence is possessiveness. Modern economics encourages violence by prescribing attachment to wealth. Mahavir, on the other hand, has said that money can be the means of our survival, but it should not be in the center of our economics. So if we want to be free from these violences which are being encouraged by the present economics, we have to think about this kind of ideas, and we have to reverse from them. Attachment-dominated enterprises are opined as the foundation of social development. Acceptance of this partial opinion as a complete truth has resulted in the spread of violence and terrorism. Detachment-dominated activities also can provide base for social welfare. This latter base gives rise to a new angle of vision. So Jain literature has said that, okay, attachment is given very much importance in the social life, but we can think of other aspect also in some from different angles. That detachment can also help us to achieve the same goals. So why we are not looking for that aspect? Just why we are thinking that without attachment we cannot do anything, or we cannot even take care of our own relatives or near dear ones. But in Jainism, it is said that no, if you become detached from within, you can take care of the entire universe, not only just of your family. So detachment makes your inner self so wider, so inclusive, that you can think of other components of the universe or globe or existence, and there is no difficulty to achieve the goals of your own life. It is true that exclusively attachment dominated attitude promotes competition and violence. The exclusively detached dominated attitude falls short of fulfilling the social needs. So we should realize, we should know this thing, that this is also true, and how we can be free from this kind of attachment dominated tendency. Sorry, this is getting stuck. Now, see that in Jainism, it is said that the self-restraint is the antidote. It means if we want to follow non-violence and if we want to get rid of all these kind of attachments or possessive tendencies, we have to start putting some restraints on ourselves, not on others. The society, therefore, can be governed by what is meant between the two extreme attitudes for fostering balanced harmony and peace and avoiding the devastation caused by violence. Mahavir gave the philosophy of non-acquisition, which was not based on the needs of growing population. He propounded the philosophy of non-acquisition and restraining one's will, keeping in view the human psyche and the results of accumulation of wealth. Mahavir was not opposed to meeting the primary needs of the rapidly growing population, but his opposition was to the ideology of unrestrained ambition and its adverse effects on society and globe. So Mahavir was not opposed to earning the money or doing some business or doing performing your necessary domestic things, but he was very much opposed to the ideology that we can use nature in the way in which we want. So this is not the right way. We have to be very much restrained, and we have to think of in the existence of other living beings, which are also necessary. And if we want to progress in our social life also, we have to be very much restrained that we are not only on the earth who has right to earn the entire money of the globe, but there are certain other people also, they should also enjoy the same. So modern society has largely succeeded in eliminating death by starvation, but accumulation of wealth by a handful of people has compelled a large majority to live in poverty. So we are progressing in the field of medical science, and we are progressing. We are able to save the life of people, or what we say, postponing the death. But we have to see other aspects also, that we are taking so much lives if we are trying to capture money in just a handful of people. So this is also not the economic imperialism which is going on and growing day by day. It is taking life of many people who are not able to compete with them. Excessively rich people also have their own problem in that they have to pass their time in perpetual mental tension, fear, and terror. Here, it is said that if we are going to looking for the excessive possessions or money or richness, then it is also causing some kind of problems, mental problems to the people. And those people who are having such kind of enormous money or possessions, they are always in tension, fear, and terror. So this is also one aspect we have to understand, that money is good for us, but money is not everything. It cannot give you peace. It cannot make you free of tensions or terrors. So if we live a balanced life, then we can not only avoid unnecessary violence to ourselves, to others, to the society, to other people of society, but we can also live within peace. Okay, it is again studying. So I'm finishing within a few minutes. So here we can see delimiting personal ownership and change in lifestyle. So there is very much need to change, to bring change in our lifestyle, which we are pursuing today or at present. So humanity has not yet succeeded in finding a way of life that could satisfy the primary needs of all and simultaneously mitigate the inhuman cruelty, a byproduct of excessive acquisition of wealth. It will perhaps never be feasible to find out the way without delimiting personal ownership. So here we can see that we are looking for the solutions for these problems, but we are not still in the position, because we are trying to delimit our desires, our needs. We are increasing our needs and our desires, and trying to grab all the properties or all the wealth of the world in our hand. So this kind of tendency cannot give the right solutions. So we have to look for some limitations of our wants, our desires, and then only we can get the solution for the problem. Poverty and other social discriminations. Availability of goods is limited. Consumers' demands are unlimited, and their desires are vaster still. We have no arithmetic that can induce balance. So ecologists, they say that resources on nature are limited, but if we are having unlimited desires, then those resources which can be used by all the people of the world cannot satisfy even the desire of one person. So we have to have some control on our desires and needs. We can earn money, but it is not that necessary that we have to consume the whole wealth just for ourselves, but we can use them for the good purpose of society and can use in helping other people. So this is why Mahavir, keeping the truth in view, proclaimed that what is most dreadful is that man has focused his attention exclusively on acquisition of goods. Modern man has equated his mental health with consumerism. The root cause of the problem of violence is of tying up the sense of mindness with things. So this mindness is the inner cause or the bigger cause or main cause for this tendency of unlimited desires and possessions and accumulations. The truth, however, is that things do not belong to anybody. The attempt at denying this truth breeds violence. So we are not thinking about it, that things are having some limitations, they have some limit, and one person cannot use all the resources. So he should learn this particular truth of nature and limit his own desires and let those resources be used by other people, other families. Declared, Mahavir, do not rest satisfied with striking only at foliage and flowers of violence, but also strike hard at the very root of it. Violence varies proportionately with the sense of mindness. The deeper the sense of mindness, the intense the outburst of violence. So he was hitting on this mindness, which is coming from within, from the individual, and not from the society or from any other person. To control the sense of mind needs a complete change in lifestyle. Mahavir has given that lifestyle in his ethical principle of trail anuvratas. So those anuvratas and other things we will discuss about in our next live. For today, it is enough. We will talk about these other principles also, which are very important to learn about nonviolence in a very broader and wider sense, and also in the sense of global relations. So with this, I would try to stop here, so that if somebody has any questions, they can ask me.
Vandami Namam Swami Samaniji. Growing up in a Jain household in Navsari, India, it's amazing how all of these principles are embedded in us since childhood. And it just brings more awareness to it from a scientific perspective. That's very interesting. But the whole world since school is based on competitiveness. and growth and expansion and success and achieving the American dream, etc., etc. However, the concept of nonviolence is not rooted in society. So courses like this need to be given in school. So we only then can we get actually a balance in life. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's why I have offered this course through a school for the students.
Yes, I also mean through primary school.
Oh, yeah, it is true.
Through early age, so that these concepts, once are embedded in the unconscious mind at an early age, then as they grow, society can grow more peacefully, and the world problems at large can be mitigated before they expand and actually develop to the catastrophic levels that they are right now.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So we in India, we are giving such kind of education from primary level. Still, it is not implemented here in the Western schools. Might be some people are doing that kind of things here, but in India, we have tried to implement such kind of non-violent teachings, and we are conducting some research also on non-aggressiveness at primary level of schools. And we found that those children who are very much violent, or maybe in future they may be criminals, we have taken we have selected those kind of children from primary level, and we have done some experimental studies on them. We have given some meditations and such kind of non-violence training, and we have found that their life is changed. Yes. So yours true that it must be implemented from primary level and all different schools, not in only in India or limited number. Yes, thank you. Anybody has any question?
I have a question regarding the non-violent thing. So, how is being a doctor in accordance to being a Jain? Because I know that as a doctor, you don't really try to harm anyone, you try to help them, but still you do violence to that person if you're like operating them or doing some kind of procedure. So, how does one try to be a Jain and a doctor at the same time?
Okay. So when you are operating or doing any kind of surgery or giving any kind of treatment, so that is the part of your business first, and that may be necessary for the householders who is working in the field of medical science or who are doing some such kind of a job. So that is not a kind of violence. You are trying to save the life of human being. Okay, you are not trying to kill it, or you have no intention to hurt or kill anybody. So yeah, some procedures may be painful, but the patient is already accepting what kind of treatment you are giving. So with their consent you are giving, and your intention is not to kill or hurt or give any kind of pain, but the procedure may be to make him come out, to help him to come out of that problem. So you are helping in that sense, you are not hurting. It is a part of your business. Yes.
Yes, you had a slide. The word was occupational violence. That we cannot avoid.
Yes, you cannot. And in every business, there is little but some violences in every business. Okay, so this is your business, but you are not trying to kill or violate any living being. You are helping just.
Vandami, I would like to add into this one.
Yes.
Even though I understand it's occupational violence and you cannot avoid it, but you can minimize it. You know that certain major important things. One is your what we can say, your habits and your awareness. That is, you are whatever the activities you are doing, right? You just be aware about all other certain things about your environment, and try to do your practices in a way that will be a minimal harmful to all other things, including living beings or non-living beings. And second thing is, and that is the most important thing, is your intention. Okay, what is your intentions behind to doing any activities, right? If your intentions is cruel, even though you are not doing that kind of activities, but still you are doing a violence, because that is your eternal violence as well. And we are, whenever we are talking about the violence, it's we are combining eternal as well as the external here. Vandami, you can add it.
Yes, yes. So you are correct that we have to minimize if the procedure which is painful, or you can just see that what can be the best solution without giving any pain. But yes, sometimes we see that the doctors are also causing some kind of violence to human beings. They are operating unnecessarily, taking out the parts, selling them. So this kind of business is really very, what we say, very, we can say that very
Unethical.
unethical. And they have to avoid such kind of things. They should give right treatment if it is necessary for the patient. If it is not necessary, they should say the truth to the patients. And as they are also helping in abortions, unnecessary abortions. If there is some problem in the child, or it is something harmful for the mother, that cannot be other matter. They have to decide for that. But unnecessary abortions, all these things, they are a kind of violence of five sense living beings. And according to Jain scriptures, if those people who are involved in killing of five sense living beings, they may go to hell sometimes. Okay, so we may we should be aware of that. Just for getting some money out of such kind of things, we cannot live with peace. Okay, and we are taking the life of others. Yes. Anything other?
I had one jigyasa. If we achieve something bigger, we have to think bigger. So how can we minimize the thought if we want to achieve something bigger?
Minimize thought.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? What kind of thoughts you are thinking?
If I want to achieve, like these exams, I have to achieve. So I have to read something. My goal should be a little bit higher. So if I'm thinking higher, thinking too much, and want to read something, rushing, quick doing, how can I minimize my rushing and everything?
Just you have to fix the priority. What is priority for you? Okay. Why you are thinking of so many things together? Are all of them are important for you? If it is necessary, very much needed to survive or to live a life, to run the family, then you may think of them. But otherwise, if they are not necessary, just you are rushing here and there, this is not the right way. So you have to focus, you have to fix the priority and focus on that only.
Samniji, I have a question about that. What she's saying, that you are thinking high. Now, thinking high is not a crime, but I think that when you think of violence or at the expense of somebody else, that's my understanding. I could be wrong, but you may want to clarify this. But what I think that there is no harm in thinking higher. If I want to stand first in the class, I may read 18 hours a day or whatever I need to do. I'm not committing a crime about that, because this is my goal. This is what I want to reach. And as long as I'm not doing any harm to anybody else, I don't think I'm doing wrong. Is that a correct assumption on my part, or am I being wrong somewhere?
Vandami, let me give them an answer.
Yes.
Hansaji, so you know that in our Jainism, it's called unearthed dand, right?
Yes.
It's that whatever you are doing, which is not necessarily, and that is being created in a bad kind of those the karma, and any kind of those the creations of the karma is becoming a violence. Why it is so? Because it's harming your soul. Any kind of those the harmness to any other things is called a hinsa. Okay. So that's how, because whenever I understand, you just want to say, hey, I want to do something, but you are overthinking it. Regular thing is not an issue, because you are just thinking about the particular things you want to achieve it. But whenever you do the overthink, it's called unearth, means you are doing unnecessarily, right? So always anything is a two part. One is the thought process that is always been there, and second process is an action. Okay, so you need to understand the entire concept of it. Just the thinking will not achieving your goal if you have any higher goal, because that the thinking is always following by the actions will help you to achieve your goal. Okay, so think, act, think again, whatever you did it is right or wrong, taken proper actions. So this one is a continuous improving process until you will achieve your goal. I hope
Yes, but my
it-
question, I'm still not understanding. Thinking that I do want to get the A grade, first class, or 90% marks or whatever, is that thinking is a unearthed done? Is that thinking is wrong
yes,
for my part to
overthinking.
achieve that?
I am talking about overthinking. For an example, right? If you try to, you say, okay, you want to get a 90%, and you couldn't get it 90%. On that time, what was your thought would be? Okay, what part? There are two parts always been. And we can say there are, one is your internal part and another is your external part, right? You cannot control the external parts because that is beyond your out control. You can only control your internal part. And whenever these things is indulge in your think process, and then you do your part best, okay, then after unnecessary thinking is harming to you, right? Oh, I did so much of those the hard work, but why I couldn't get it? Because there are some other people better than you, and they achieve, they deserve it. So it is, instead of thinking like other way, you can say, okay, how I can improve it. This time
Okay.
I didn't get it. You need to also accept a result, because that is why it's an improving process, right? You accept a result, you analyze yourself where something going wrong, right? And how you can improve it, and then take a proper action. So that would be a part of your thought process, okay? Instead of why it is not done, why it is not the why. Okay.
Okay.
And it's just given solutions about what are the issues it's been, or what are the points you couldn't cover it properly, and then after, how, and then what the necessary actions to be followed.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Change the thinking process. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
I want to
Focus.
add to your point. There's no harm in thinking of achieving the number one in the class. You are simply shooting for the stars, and then if you hit the moon, so be it. Then you accept whatever you get. So that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So, thanks to Suril, and also what we say, Vijay Bhai, and also Hansaben. She has also all have given some good points to Neetaji for thinking.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Anybody has any question within?
Thank you so much, Maniji. Thank you so much, Bhaiya.
Yes. Thank you, thank you. So this class would be at least, I think, 2 hours is a good time for all of you, because we are thinking on some serious issues, and it takes some time to explain everything. So the scientist would also take some time. So it would be better, at least for up to 11:30 in this class would be, if somebody has any questions, they can ask, otherwise we have to sum up the lecture. Somebody has asked a question here, Ashish Jain, that how we can minimize our internal violence. So that we can do by putting control on our emotions, aggressiveness, and for that we can make some good resolutions when we are waking up in the morning and sleeping, that we will not do that kind of aggressive behavior with anybody, or think anything abusing or hurting for others. So we have to give some positive affirmations, and we have to do some little bit meditation if possible, to control our aggressive emotions, especially because emotions become aggressive when our breath is shallow. So if you can take some long and deep breath at the time of aggressive emotions or before, if you can practice, then you can have good control on your emotions, and thereby you would be free from all kind of such kind of violent thinking or aggressiveness or negative emotions and can follow this internal non-violence to extreme. So positive affirmation, positive resolutions, and also some little bit meditation on breath, just for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you can do that. So that will also help you to come out of these internal malices and violent ideas and thinking. Yes.
Vandana, regarding occupational violence, I think we must discuss about Pandra Karmadan.
Yeah, this, I have given some
business-
indication. Yeah, I have given some indications. Right now, we cannot go into
Okay.
all details.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but we will see whenever the topic will come, and we will go into deeper discussions. Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for coming and joining the course. And I hope all will enjoy. And the scientists will also eventually come in the classes, and they will also give their own discussions or talks. So these topics are already set, and the scientists, especially Professor Rajmal Jain, and maybe Professor Narendra Bhandari, who is also a space scientist and who is a leading scientist of Chandrayaan mission and Mangalyaan mission. He might be on some day. And if Professor Surendra Pokharna, he would be available, he would also address our participants. So they all are working seriously on nonviolence and science. Okay, thank you.
Vandaminam Swami.
Yes.
Vandaminam Swami.
Thank you.
Vandaminam Swami.
Vandaminam Swami
Vandaminam
Swamiji.
Swami.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Samniji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you so much.
Be connected and on time. Now we are leaving.